Good morning and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. This week we're looking at women and men who are commemorated by the church as having led exemplary lives of faith and service and who serve as an inspiration for us in our lives. Today is the commemoration of Florence Nightingale and Clara Maass. You've probably heard of Florence Nightingale. She was reared in a well-to-do home in London, but felt that God had a mission for her in life, but it wasn't clear just what that mission was. By 1850, she had found her way into nursing, and when the Crimean War broke out 4 years later, Florence left with a party of nurses and went to Turkey to serve. She found the conditions intolerable and the doctors hostile, and she worked hard and long, often late into the night, so much so that people started calling her the lady with the lamp. She refused to leave the hospital until the last patient had been sent home. Then she returned to England, where she had become a national hero. She continued to work for improvement in the health and living conditions of soldiers. Later in life, she became a blind invalid, but continued her work to improve conditions in workhouses for the poor. In 1907, she was awarded the Order of Merit, the first woman ever to receive it. Clara Maass is less well known. And to understand her story, perhaps we have to think back to a time before modern medicines and antibiotics. In the late 1800s, yellow fever was a terrible disease and many died from it. Clara grew up in New Jersey and became a nurse. She lived in the Spanish-American War. She served in the Spanish-American War from 1896 to 1899, where she saw many who had contracted yellow fever. Then her next tour of duty was in the Philippines, where she saw more who again suffered from yellow fever. Then she contracted another kind of fever called breakbone fever and was sent home. Meanwhile, a research project in Havana, Cuba, had singled out the mosquito as the probable transmitter of yellow fever. Clara was one of 20 people who responded to the call for subjects to be experimented on. Her first mosquito bite led to a slight case of yellow fever from which she recovered. 10 days after that, she was bitten again and died. She was the only woman and the only American to give her life in the research which demonstrated how yellow fever spread. And today, yellow fever is preventable. Now, neither of these ladies were preachers or nuns or known for any kind of church work. Rather, they were nurses who lived their lives serving others and as such lived out the call of the gospel. And they can inspire us to do the same in our daily lives. Beside their names in our church calendar, it says, renewers of society. That's a high calling of faith. In our time, we are thankful for all the healthcare workers toiling and risking their lives to care for the many in this pandemic. They are living lives of service to those in need, selfless, compassionate, and dedicated. Maybe we should think of them all as people of the lamp, shining the light of Christ. That's the light we all should shine. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.